All right. Whew. I'm telling you, that intro, I got to figure out a way for YouTube to allow me to keep that. We bought the music, they won't allow us to play it. So, welcome, folks. Welcome to our Thursday Live. Hope you guys are doing well. Another beautiful day here on the East Coast. Well, I shouldn't say East Coast, on the east side of Canada and Quebec. Man, the weather is good. I know it's the most Canadian thing to say, but man, it's like 20 degrees. November 7th. Unreal. Walking around in a t-shirt and shorts. This keeps up, man. I can't I'm not going to consider leaving anymore, guys. If the weather stays this good in November and maybe push into December, I won't be so bitter about the cold and the taxes. There'll still be the taxes, but it just won't be the cold. It'll be bearable. So, how you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Did something happen this week? It seems like a typical week. I don't know. Is there anything in the news? We'll go over it. We'll do a little scan. See if there's anything on the radar to chat about from this week. We're also going to look at a few of the things that are going on in veteran land. As you know, this is Veterans Week. If you're not a veteran, welcome. It's Veterans Week in Canada. It's Remembrance Day on Monday and Veterans Day in the US on Monday as well. So important day for a lot of us out there coming up. So I want to touch base on that and go into what is happening in the community. And also, I had a really cool guest on yesterday during our 30 to Lean challenge in the Veterans Getting Fit AF community. And I wanted to bring up the topic of heart disease. I know. God, what a topic to bring up. And cholesterol. I know. Who would have thought tuning into a live broadcast with a fitness influencer? But you're going to get some juicy details out of that and look at a sneak peek at my new book. So let's get right into it. On the ticker here, it says post your fitness and health related questions in down below if you have any. We'll go over them during the Q&A at the end. And if you don't, let's get the comments rolling. All right, let's blow up these comment sections. Sorry, I'm hiccuping. I'm just finishing a really big smoothie here in my grunt style mug. That there'll be more to follow in terms of grunt style stuff in the future. But it's a blueberry smoothie, and for whatever reason, it's making me burp. Good. Okay, so before we get started, thanks to Natesto, this channel's sponsor for today's live. If you have a concern about your testosterone levels, if you're a veteran, that very may well be the case. What has two thumbs and is worried about his testosterone? This guy. If you're in the same boat as me, have the consultation with your doctor. Talk to him about potential solutions for low testosterone and keep Natesto in mind. Talk to your doctor for more information. Link in the description. All right. Additionally, if you guys don't need to be like posting anything in the comments about this, but if you're experiencing some issues down south and you're looking for a way to talk to your doctor with some data that can tell you, hey, I think I'm experiencing some issues and I want to fix that. And also ED, that's what we're talking about here, is an early warning sign of a cardiovascular event, which is what we're talking about today with the guest lecture that we had yesterday in the 30 to Lean challenge. If you want to live a longer, happier life, then you're going to want to measure how many boners you get every night. And you know what? There's an invention out there that I'm a proud supporter of. It's called the FirmTech Tech Ring. You can buy one of these bad boys. It's Bluetooth enabled. It gives you data on your phone, and you can take that to your doctor. And it is an amazing piece of kit that will literally, potentially save your life in the future, because it'll tell you if you're going to have a coronary heart event by your arteries getting clogged up. So if you want to link to that and learn more, head to the description. FirmTech Tech Ring. Give it a a little bit of your time, especially if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s. This is something that affects 40% of men in their 40s, 50% of men in their 50s, and 60% of men in their 60s. So go check it out. All right. So there's some really big, I guess, overarching topics that I wanted to go over, but they're all obviously centered around health. So I want to give some shout outs to some people that are absolutely crushing it right now in the veterans getting fit AF community on the 30 lean challenge. If you missed out, sorry, you'll have to come back next year. But for those that are actually competing, I just want to give a shout out to Wayne. Like, he casually just lost 8 pounds in just over a week. That's insane. Yeah. And then like Eric, he's absolutely like crushing it, 5 pounds down. This is just with a simple proven system. If you guys are curious, head over to the Veterans Getting Fit AF community. And if you want to join a free community, come join our Hard to Kill community. This one's absolutely free. There's no membership required. Come on over. The link is here in the description and you can join. We do PT every Friday. So tomorrow morning, we have Monday morning PT. You join us over a Google Meets call, and it's scaled to whatever your fitness ability is. So right now we're doing 5s and 20s. You can see what that workout is in the community and have a growing sense of, hey, I'm in this with my fellow brothers and sisters. Let's get after it. And on top of that, there's all kinds of extra little goodies in this community as well. So hope to see you there. Free to join. Hard to Kill community. Let's get after it. All right. So Veterans Week. What's going on with Veterans Week? So I'm going to share from my email here. If you haven't signed up to Blake Richards' email, you should. It's actually quite good. He puts one out every month, I believe. I think it's every month. So let me expand that a little bit bigger so you folks can see that. No, that's a little bit smaller. No, that's no good. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so Blake, if you're not aware, is the shadow minister. Ooh, sounds cool. It's the person on the opposite side of the aisle. So the official opposition, so the conservative member of parliament that is or would be the minister of Veterans Affairs if they were in government. So they call them the shadow minister. It sounds really cool. It's essentially just their analog. And so he takes an interest in everything veteran, right, here in Canada. And if and when, I'm going to say when they are the new government in God knows when, he will be the new Minister of Veterans Affairs. And I like what he's up to. So that's why I share his newsletter. So he has a nice little blurb here about Veterans Week and Remembrance Day, Indigenous Veterans Day, which is coming up. Study on wartime service is what I wanted to go over. So this is touching on the topic of what me and Jody Middick were talking about a few weeks ago. Shout out to Jody. I'm going to be doing some stuff, me and him collaborating in the near future. So stay tuned for that. But I'll read it out to you. So the Standing Committee on Veterans Affairs has just finished hearing testimony for its study on the designation of wartime service for Canadian veterans. So I even talked about this just on a solo episode that I didn't fight in a war, like question mark. This is clarifying things a bit better. And I'm glad there's an actual study on this because it's really important. We need to get clarity on this. We can't have all of these different layers of veteran. We can't just have a military or a government that commits us to missions or hostile actions or anything but a war. When in reality, like clearly I was in a war. A lot of you guys were in a war. If you're in a two-way range and you're wearing a uniform, and you got a gun. You're in a war, man. You're in a war. The main groups of veterans advocating for this topic are veterans of the Persian Gulf and Afghanistan. The big issue is that Veterans Affairs Canada constantly changes their programs, funding, and goals, and leads to inefficiency, confusion, inevitably veterans who fall through the cracks between different programs. The committee constantly hears about veterans who had to file claims under different acts, therefore having to deal with multiple insurance providers on top of that, which creates confusion, delays a process, and veterans don't get the help that they deserve. This mess of a process means that many veterans never find out about the programs and supports they're entitled to. So, it's true. It's true. And, I'm under, I guess, the new charter. But I think a lot of folks qualify under the old one, and it's just and some Afghan vets are under the old one, some are under the new one. It just makes no sense. It's such a Canadian thing to do, to have complete confusion and nobody knows what anybody's doing. It's just it's just how we roll here. So at least there's something happening. There's conversations. So the committee heard from many veterans and groups such as the Persian Gulf and veterans of Canada, and common sense conservatives will continue to push the Liberal government and ministers to get the ball rolling on making the changes necessary. Um, yeah, well, that's not going to happen. I mean, like, I'm sure the conservatives are going to push it, but it's not going to change anything. The Liberals have they have no, I guess, motivation to make it change now. I mean, they're hanging on by a thread. Why would they change anything at this point, especially with Veterans Affairs? That's just such a small concern of theirs. So we're just gonna have to wait out, sit tight, keep on listening, keep on building your case, start coming up with good ideas, and start bringing the community more tightly together is likely our best course of action moving forward. So let's head to the comments here. We got short and long. Okay, short and long. You having a veteran space? Okay, cool. Drop a chat. Okay, sweet. What platform? Short and long. Okay. Why you got a freaking hammer and sickle here? Is it in support of communism, or it's showing that CBC are communists? I'm curious to know. If it's on X, that'd be cool. X is a good platform. I'm assuming it is because you posted from X. Okay, following up here, veterans stepping up to help other veterans after the government failed them. So if you weren't following this story, it was Christine Gauthier, and she's been in a few documentaries, but essentially she was offered MAHA. She's a paraplegic, and she's competed. She's a 5-time world champion in Paralympics representing Canada. She can't get a freaking ramp for her place. Like, her chronic pain and her injuries just got so bad, and it's been years. Like, it's been years. And VAC is just like, what is it? Things turned for the worst 6 years ago, and Christine reached out to Veterans Affairs to request help in installing a wheelchair lift for her house. Veterans Affairs denied her the ramp, meaning she would have to get out of her chair, lay on the steps, and lift her chair up into her own house. This humiliating situation carried on for years, with VAC ignoring her pleas and brushing off criticism from the media and veterans community who were advocating for her. Things took a dark turn a few years ago when Christine made yet another plea to help Things took a dark turn a few years ago when Christine made yet another plea to help to Veterans Affairs and was instead offered assisted suicide. Like, you can't make this shit up, man. You can't make this shit up. So needless to say, their help arrived, and it was thanks to Mark Meinke and Renos for Heroes. She finally is getting a wheelchair lift installed at her house. So, Mark, awesome work, buddy. You're doing really good work in the community. So let's just head over. The Mark's featured here in the Veteran Spotlight. Awesome podcast. So the Tango Romeo, the trauma recovery podcast. Mark's been really, really pushing the envelope on the advocacy side, and he's not going away. And if the Trump presidency, the Trump win, is any indication, podcasts are now the kingmakers. So you're listening to one now. Go listen to Mark's. Podcasting is the new media. It made a president of the United States. Joe Rogan's podcast with Donald Trump had tens of millions of views. Donald Trump didn't go on mainstream media. Where did he go? He went to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is now the kingmaker. So therefore, podcasting, just like JFK versus Nixon back in the day, JFK understood that TV was going to be the next new medium, not radio. Nixon wasn't prepared for TV. He was sweating profusely. He didn't have makeup on. He didn't take it seriously. Well, now this is the new era. Podcasting is that new era, and I can't wait to be a part of it. I got in early, and if you guys are considering it, now's the time. Now's the time. We need as many voices as possible. And if it's good, it'll rise up to the top. You'll get a following. And if it's not, then you'll know. Okay. But the thing is, give it a shot. Start listening, start subscribing, and we're having an impact. It's awesome. So that's now that's in French. So I want to cover that off. So let's head to the comments. Comments time. Cody's king. Wow. Okay. Cody. Cody. Okay, we should be doing okay, we're gonna save that one for later. Okay, I'm not ready to get into mRNA gene therapy and making new organs. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. Okay, so in terms of podcasting and the new administration, because obviously this is a big deal in the United States, but it's going to be a big deal here in Canada because what happens in the United States has a major trickle down effect here in Canada. We kind of have to play ball with our biggest trading partner to the south. And when somebody shifts over to the right, we inevitably shift over to the right, and vice versa. There's very few times where we don't have kind of the same push either to right or left of the aisle, right or left of the political spectrum. So that being said, this is kind of like the first shot across the bow, in my opinion. RFK Jr. just came out and just YOLO'd right into crushing our public health institutions. By I mean our clearly, I mean the Americans here, but this can't not have an effect on ours, because if there's sweeping changes, and I'll read this out to you if you're listening to this on the replay and on the audio, um, yeah, we're going to have follow suit, in my opinion. So to read his tweet, FDA's war on public health is about to end. Just that statement alone. Wow. The FDA, so Food and Drug Administration in the United States. This includes its aggressive suppression of psychedelics, peptides, stem cells, raw milk, hyperbaric therapies, chelating compounds, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, vitamins, clean food, sunshine, exercise, nutraceuticals, and anything else that advances human health that can't be patented by pharma. If you work for the FDA and are part of this corrupt system, I have two messages for you. Preserve your records, and two, pack your bags. Oh man. Woo, them's fighting words. That's crazy. He's a lawyer by trade, right? So, and a quite successful one on top of that. He's had an axe to grind with the FDA for a long time. And this podcast has an axe to grind with public health, with our analogs here in Canada. We've done exactly what the Americans have done. We created the food pyramid. We created the food guide. It's heavily influenced by big agra. It's heavily influenced by big pharma. We do the exact same things here. The only thing that's really different is that we don't advertise on TV for big pharma. Now, there's only two countries. It's the United States and I believe New Zealand that are allowed advertisements on TV. So that's a major change. Like, that's a major change. And if this starts coming down the pipe, you know that Canada is going to see an explosion of this type of methodology, this type of paradigm. And we're well positioned here in the podcast. We're questioning things. That's it. Have an open discussion. You know, if you question a vaccine, you shouldn't be considered like a Holocaust denier. That's insane. Everything needs to be questioned. When I was at McGill, there's in stone in the science library to question all things. I remember just walking past that all the time, just to question all things. Because if you're not allowed to question things, then you can't make any progress. That's how progress is made. You look at things, you go, I don't know about that. Okay, well, maybe 98% of the time you're wrong, but in the 2% of the times that you're right, hey, that has a massive breakthrough. And how many times do we need to see breakthroughs in history by people that just think differently and question the dogma? All right, so I'm all in on this. Like, this is basically, he's just lined up like my podcast guests for the next 4 years. Okay, I gotta get some raw milk specialists. I did hyperbaric chamber in LA when I was there. It was cool, but it made my ear hurt. Peptides, I'm going down that route. Psychedelics, you've heard about it here on the podcast. Sunshine, well, that's like no shit, Sherlock. Like, that's kind of like the main one that we talk about, but you can't make money off of that. Vitamins, clean foods. Yeah, like, these are all the things that we've been talking about here in the podcast forever. And RFK, I think, is going to help this podcast out indirectly quite a bit. So stay tuned for more. It's going to be really cool. So with that being said, let's get into my our guest that was on the 30 to Lean Challenge yesterday. So Dr. Philip Ovadia has been a guest of the podcast twice, huge supporter of the troops. And his thesis is that we are poisoning ourselves and worried about cholesterol to the detriment of our metabolic health. Um, so you can see here, Dr. Ovadia was morbidly obese, and it took a paradigm shift for him to realize all the things that he was doing, he was telling his patients to do. He's a cardiac surgeon, and he realized this isn't working. Like, if you do the same thing over and over again and you get the result that you're not looking for, well, that's freaking insane. So he stopped doing what he was preaching, which is following the USDA food pyramid and eating a lot of carbs and staying away from saturated fat. And he just changed that. And then he lost over 100 pounds. And now he's this guy here. He's lean and mean. He's looking good. And he's on all the podcasts. He's on Diary of a CEO, Pomp podcast. Like, he's been able to travel the world on this one message to stay off his operating table. I'll bring up his book. And I have a copy. I just don't have it in the office, unfortunately. Stay off my operating table. It's this year. I highly recommend you go get a copy, because in terms of, changing your paradigm, if you're worried, like, oh, I don't know, maybe if I eat more meat, there's so much more cholesterol in that. Should I have more eggs? I'm really worried about the cholesterol. He puts that to rest, and he has a really compelling argument. And that's what we went over last night. So if you were attending and you were part of the 30 Lean Challenge, awesome. These are the things that we go over in the Veterans Getting Fit AF community. We have guest lectures come in. And in this case, we have 2 more showing up this month for the challenge. And every month there's somebody new. So it's not a podcast. It's a private discussion with an expert. This is one of the best cardiac surgeons in the United States, maybe even in the world. He operates on hearts all the time. And he says straight up, I operate on just as many people with low cholesterol than I do with high cholesterol. So clearly, the cholesterol debate is moot. His analogy is really interesting. He goes, imagine you were to go to every fire in your city, and every fire at every building, there's always firefighters there. And then you come to the conclusion that, well, every fire I'm at has the exact same thing at it, which is firefighters. I'm guessing that fires are caused by firefighters. And that is the definition of faulty logic, right? You're not recognizing that the fire had started before the firefighters had gotten there. However, if you're observing just as an innocent observer, you would think, oh, well, since there's always firefighters here, they must be part of this fire problem. And that's the exact same analogy for cholesterol and the diet heart hypothesis, that cholesterol and the plaques that are found in your heart, which stick to cholesterol, well, cholesterol must be the problem, because if we have low cholesterol, we won't get these buildup of plaques because they stick to the stickiness of the cholesterol in your arteries. And that's not true. That's not true at all. And it was based on faulty research done by Ansel Keys. So these are all things that we go into great depths in on the conversation, and the replay will be available to all those that are in the community. You can listen to our conversations on the podcast as well, and you're going to be able to listen to, or read, I should say, and listen to the chapter from my new book where Dr. Philip Ovadia is featured. So he did 2 episodes, like I said, and we get into the details here, okay, of exactly what his thesis is, and how you can start applying it so that you can become healthier and harder to kill. So stay tuned for that. If you want to be on the mailing list so that you can get first access to the book when it drops, this is the link to get my 30-day, or I should say my harden up routine, which is included in the book. So I pulled it straight from the book. You can get a sneak peek right now. And you'll also be first in line to get an email so that you can get the book and download it, and get the ebook, get the paper copy, and get the audio book, which is literally in the pipe right now, getting sent off to my editor, or my publisher. So I'm going to post this link here in the comments. If you guys want to go there, you can drop your email, and you'll get your free guide, and you'll be on the list of folks that are going to get advanced warning when the book is about to drop at the end of this month for Black Friday. Great way to get a stocking stuffer for mom or dad. So as a little extra here, I've got a blood panel. So this is important for those folks that are concerned, like, hey, what do I do when I go see the doctor? This is what we discussed during the conversation with Dr. Ovadia. So a lot of us are pushing, I can tell by the metrics here on YouTube, we're pushing 40 to 60 is the average age here. And it's like 92% male. Well, what's the number one cause of death right here in Canada? It's heart disease, and it crushes us. It crushes us. So if you can avoid heart disease, chances of living go way up. But you need to know your tests. You need to know what to do when you go to the doctor and have an educated conversation, because a lot of doctors will just push you in the direction of pills and say, shut up, go home. They won't talk to you about losing weight, about getting sunshine, or anything like that. But if you go and say, hey, I want the following tests because I want to know more, like, am I metabolically broken? Well, here's some tests that I grabbed from Dr. Ovadia that you can take to the bank. So a chemistry panel, so metabolic panel with lipids. That's going to give you a really good idea of your cholesterol molecules aren't all the same size. There's high density, low density, but essentially you want big molecules. These type of tests, so the chemistry panel with the blood lipids will give you the different amounts of the bigger and smaller cholesterol markers. So that's a better indicator, according to Dr. Ovadia, than your just LDL and your HDL. That's just like generalized data. And he's like, you shouldn't be making really any big decisions like taking a drug every day for really poor resolution on your data. So you can do that. Your complete blood count. So that's red blood cells, white blood cells, etc. Free and total T. Like that's, I'm pushing that button a lot. That's why Natesto is a sponsor of the show. Veterans have a almost 2 times greater chance of having low testosterone. I think it's probably even higher. It's just that a lot of veterans don't get tested, so it's hard to know. But because we likely will suffer from lower testosterone due to service, due to 4 main things that I've identified: mild traumatic brain injury, just loads of stress over the years, sleep deprivation, and what's my last one? Toxic exposure. All those things combined can lead to low testosterone and a broken hormonal system, broken endocrine system. So you definitely want to get that tested, because if that's not in good working order, then the rest of you is not going to be in good working order. DHEA, a precursor for your sex hormones. Estradiol, again, if it's too high, it's not going to be great for you. C-reactive protein. So Philip Ovadia, Dr. Ovadia says, yeah, you definitely want to get that checked out. So that uncontrolled systemic inflammation places you at risk for degenerative diseases. So that is what's going to be measured on that CRP test. Vitamin D, if your vitamin D is low, you're going to have shitty sleep and you're going to have poor ability to synthesize testosterone. Hemoglobin A1C. This is really important because it's going to show how well blood glucose is controlled. So if you're metabolically broken and you're like pre-diabetic, let's say, this isn't going to be good. Okay, so you're going to want to check this out. Also, you're going to want to check not your glucose levels, but your insulin levels as well, according to Dr. Ovadia. ApoB, this is in the metabolism of lipids. So the greater the number, the greater risk of more cholesterol ending up in your artery wall and greater risk of artery calcification or heart attack. So one of the key things that was mentioned during our conversation is that like the artery walls, the arterial walls, so like the ones that are coronary arteries, they get damaged. They're a bit smaller, right, than the ones that are like in your legs, your arms, and stuff like that. What actually damages them isn't the cholesterol. Cholesterol is trying to help. Cholesterol is trying to like there's damage to these arterial walls, like micro tears. They're trying to patch it up, but the thing is, these tears become too ubiquitous, and then they overaccumulate, and then they get stuck, and then that's what a heart attack is. You have a blockage. Well, the reason why you're getting those cuts is due to really crappy metabolism. So you have glucose levels that are constantly, typically too high. and that causes more pressure on the arterial walls, and that just gives a little micro tear. And then do that over decades, then you start building up a problem. So, the amount of crap that you eat is directly correlated to your heart health. And so if you reduce the amount of sugar, if you just eat a, high protein, veggie, fruit based diet, typically you'll be all right. And that's that you can take to the bank. Insulin we already went over, and then magnesium, and then I won't really get into, but coronary calcium scan. That's something that I'm actually going to soon. Actually, I got the requisition right here. I just want to make sure that it's a scan, takes 5 minutes, but it's basically looking at your heart, almost like an MRI, and it's going to look at your arteries in the heart and see if there's any blockages. And it should be 0, your score, anywhere up to like, well, I think Dr. Vadia said, like 1,000 is like typically where you want to draw the line. And if you do have blockages, then it's an early kind of test to be that's non-invasive to say like, hey, maybe you should start doing some lifestyle changes. So I just want to make sure I'm good, like all clear. It's free here, so why not? So I have the link here. If you guys want this, let me know in the comments. I can send you the link to this document here. This is something that I use with my Beast clients. So folks that are on my Beast 90-day blueprint program get access to all this as well. So let's get into the comments. Let's get into Cody is King, and let's talk about mRNA. We should be doing mRNA gene therapy to create new organs. Okay. Produce vitamin D and other proteins that we lack. New pancreas. Yeah. Actually, interesting. You bring this up, Cody. So I believe, did I see this? That I think it was the Chinese just new type 1 diabetes gene therapy. I thought I saw that in the news. Let's see here. 2023, 2024. Let's see here. Scientists advance type 1 diabetes treatment with cutting-edge stem cell and gene editing technologies, unlocking the potential for renewable beta cells and precision gene editing. Researchers aim to revolutionize diabetes care and bring us closer to a functional cure for type 1 diabetes. So type 1 diabetes is your beta cells are in the pancreas are not able to produce insulin. So you have a genetic defect, disorder, that doesn't allow you to create them. So you have a very short lifespan if it's not identified, because as soon as you eat, as soon as you have some glucose, that level just skyrockets, and that kills you because you can't have out of control glucose levels. So therefore you have insulin requirement for the rest of your life. If you can turn these beta cells on, that would be huge. So using what are they using here? They are using stem cells. Okay. So the progenitor cells and gene editing technology, which is, I'm presuming CRISPR, which is a insane technology. If you guys haven't checked it out, like you can get CRISPR kits. I was using them in my class as a grade 9 science teacher. You can edit genes for these little microbes that you can make them like phosphoresce. So they can glow in the dark. You can make them change colors. It's so easy to use. You can use it in grade 9 science. Now imagine what they're doing in like high level labs with this technology. I think it won the Nobel Prize, CRISPR, but it's also frightening, right? Like every tech, there's always like all the awesome things you can do with it, but then there's like a horrifically dangerous stuff that you can do with it. Gene editing is probably one of those things, because if you can do that, you can do it with microbes. You could do it. You can't really do it with viruses, but I don't know. There's just a whole wealth of things that can come down the pipe. So I agree, man. This is, I think we're entering to a brave new world, and we'll be able to cure a lot of things. So I'm hoping they'll be able to, especially for those folks that are paralyzed or paraplegics due to nerve damage, due to like a severing of the spinal column, they'll be able to regenerate neurons, because that's one of the set of cells that cannot regenerate. So if you destroy neuronal cells, nerve cells, they can't come back. So that's why it's so damaging. But who knows? Maybe we'll get there soon. ODS Patton was here. He's still here. Oh, he's saying bye. Okay, I think I remember why. Yeah, he said bye to the administration. I think that's it. And Okay. All right. Well, folks. Um, well, I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, it's a short one today. We'll wrap out at 2:30. But enjoy your Remembrance Day. I'll be in Ottawa this weekend, enjoying it with some fellow veterans and my kids. And I'm really happy with what my school is doing here, where my kids are at. They go down to the cenotaph, which is not far from the school, so I'll be there as well on Monday. Not many schools do anything anymore, so it's good to see when a school steps up and make sure that the younger generation understands what's going on with Remembrance Day. So I'll be there, and hope you guys are able to connect with your community as well. It's important. Most people don't have any connection with the veteran world, so if you can do so, go out there and make an impact. So thanks for tuning in, folks. Really appreciate it. We'll be back here again next Thursday, and we'll get into some other topics. And don't forget to join the Hard to Kill community. Link is here in the description. Absolutely free to join. I hope to see you tomorrow morning during morning PT at 9 a.m. Eastern. And that's it for me. Train hard, fight easy. See you on the next one. Peace.